So every time you go up another level, you have to figuratively jump off the cliff because it is your refinement to another level, and it gets more difficult and more difficult.
That is how the porn industry has become so financially secure. Not even just secure, they're rich. They're insanely rich. And that's because everybody, every day, millions and millions and millions of people, like The Rock says, it's like millions of people are committing that little sacrifice, and the porn industry just continues to rise.
They converted to Judaism in the 7th century or the 8th century, 1 and 2. And the reason they did that was for political reasons, because they were sandwiched between Christendom and Islam. And they converted for political reasons. And when those people have done DNA tests of today, they have 0 genetic links to the place where they say they're from. 0. So if nature is to chase girls and men are not chasing girls, that means then girls now are not going to reproduce because men are not having sex with humans. Men are having sex with android robots.
That's actually already happening over in Asia.
Yes.
Wow.
Hey, Conscious Man 7 family, quick question before we start. Do you love the depth of these conversations but hate when ads break the flow? I get it. Ads can feel like speed bumps on a highway, pulling you out of that deep zone. That's why we created a way for you to enjoy every episode completely ad-free while supporting the show at the same time. For just a few bucks a month on Patreon or Locals, you'll get full access to uninterrupted episodes. You'll get direct access to me so you can ask me any questions that you have, some cool other perks like early releases, and you'll also help us keep bringing you the powerful conversations that mainstream platforms won't touch. The link is in the show notes. Join us there and be part of this movement. Ever look up and see those dull, grey skies streaked with chemtrails, and you feel your energy sink? You're not imagining it. Something in you knows the sky isn't supposed to look that way. But what if you could bring back the blue? What if there was a way to clear the air inside you and above you? That's where the Chembo comes in. They create powerful orgonite, tools that generate orgone energy, the life force that helps neutralize EMFs from your mobile phone, your Wi-Fi, and even 5G. It's nature's way of restoring balance, bringing cleaner air, calmer energy, and deeper sleep. Every piece from the Chembo is handmade, from tactical tower busters to beautiful pyramids and jewelry, crafted with the precise ingredients to generate real orgone energy. And here's the best part. They've proven it. For over 10 years, they've cleared thousands of miles of chemtrails, bringing the blue back to the skies around the world. So if you're ready to take back your weather and your well-being, go to thechembo.com. Use coupon code CM7 for 10% off and experience the shift for yourself. Don't fear the chemtrails or the EMF. Be empowered with the Chembo and never feel helpless again. If you are new to this podcast, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and to share, because that helps us to be recommended in the algorithms. If you would like to support this podcast, please check out our merch store on Amazon with the brand Todd and Me. We've got some cool t-shirts, tank tops, hoodies, and sweaters. Link will be in the description of this podcast. And if you're now starting a spiritual journey, you would like to start a spiritual journey, or you're currently on a spiritual journey and you would like some help removing some fears and traumas, please hit me up on my Instagram at Adriano_246 and it will help you to get some magic mushrooms. Enjoy the show and stay tuned, because we have some more great content coming soon. If you've ever felt like you're doing the work, reading the books, listening to the podcast, but still feeling stuck in the same patterns, this episode is for you. The truth is, most people aren't failing because they lack motivation. They're failing because they don't see the systems, habits, and internal loops quietly draining their energy every day. Hello, beautiful and amazing people. Welcome back to the Conscious Man 7 podcast. I am your host, Todd Cave. In this episode, I was a guest on the Metamystics podcast hosted by Jonathan and Sean, and we went deep into mindset, discipline, energy, and embodiment, and why real transformation only happens when all those things are worked on together. We talked about distraction, self-sabotage, modern conditioning, and what it actually takes to break free from the patterns keeping most men tired, fragmented, and disconnected from their potential. This isn't about hype or motivation. It's about awareness, responsibility, and becoming the kind of man who can carry more, mentally, physically, and spiritually.
When truth is blurred by lies and misinformation, perception becomes reality. What will you perceive your reality to be?
Liberate your fears and walk with me.
Sit down and meditate. Connect with your soul.
Be a monster and then learn how to control it.
You gotta be willing to do the work.
So it really goes really deep in terms of words and etymology and what they mean. So this is why it is really hard to really crack the matrix, because there's so many levels and layers to it,
Welcome to Meta Mysteries, where you don't know what you don't know. My name's Jonathan.
I'm Sean.
And today we bring back your boy, Todd Cave from the Conscious Man 7 podcast. Welcome back to the show, Todd.
Hello, guys. It is really good to talk to you all again. And I think it's been 5 months or something like that?
Too long. However long it's been too long, I'm sure.
Yeah, yes. I'm not a fan of the duration of time that has passed in between our communication, sir. So we're going to dive right into it. What have you been up to lately? The last couple of times you've come on, we've kind of touched on the Egyptian stuff with the Anunnaki and Enki and Enlil, and definitely love talking about that kind of stuff. What else have you been covering, though, on your show?
Well, I've been covering a little bit of AI. I've been covering social dynamics between men and women. I've also been covering a lot on mindset and consciousness. And as we were talking before off camera, mindset is literally the most important thing in our lives right now. And mindset is much, much deeper than people realize. And there are levels to it as well. And I use that word levels, and is a word that some of my mates even repeat back to me, like an exclamation mark. I said, well, that's levels, but it's literally levels to this existence. Because what I'm realizing is that how you do the small things are exactly how you do the big things. And the thing that I see the most right now in terms of my clients, people that reach out to me, even in myself, it is the fears and traumas that are causing us to self-sabotage. And there's always another level. And I had a client, and she had a really tough few years. And she said to me, well, I thought that after I did all of these things and I made the changes that the hard times would stop. I said, well, no, actually, they get harder. And the thing is that they get harder until you break. And the entire sort of I realize in the process in myself and in people that I coach is that you have to break, because you have to die to your old self, which is the allegory of when Christ said, pick up your cross and follow me. That was the symbology and the allegory of you dying to your old self. And what I'm realizing is that humanity now as a collective, we're being forced to die to our old selves. So some people are picking up their cross and walking the path. Others are choosing to stay where they are. So they're continuing to self-sabotage, right? And that self-sabotage looks like whatever for many people. Some people may be gambling. Some people may be porn. Some people, it may be prostitution. Some people may be food. Some people, whatever it is, everybody has something, right? And the thing is that we have to get present to it. So I've been really busy working on the fitness business, getting all my clients, as I call them, the compound body training army, getting them in shape, and then also having some fantastic conversations on the Conscious Man 7. And I'm currently now, I think we're at 90, we're producing 97, the 97th podcast now. So we're soon going to be triple digits like you guys, you know?
Good
Oh, yeah,
shit, dude.
Yeah, man. And I'm really loving this journey because it has taught me so much about myself. It has taught me so much about people, how to handle things. I have a small team now that helps me in the background, and they have really helped me to keep everything together, to be honest with you, because running a full-time business and then doing a podcast, which is another business. I mean, I don't really like to say it's a business, but it really is the amount of time that I put into it.
Mhm.
But, you know, I do it because I love to do it and I treat it as a business. So I'm disciplined with it. So I work 7 days a week, including Sundays. And like I was telling you guys, like I was preparing for a podcast I have on Wednesday because tonight I'm on with you and then tomorrow I'm on with someone else. So then when that person comes on Wednesday, so for me now I'm realizing that is a lot to do with discipline. But the discipline comes now where like you have to eat, sleep, and breathe the thing that you want to achieve.
Mhm.
And someone recently said to me, Todd, I think you're a bit mad. And I said to that girl, thank you very much. Because one of my mentors said to me that when people start telling you that you're losing the plot or that you're crazy, that is when you know that you're on the path and you're going to achieve the things that you want to. And you must be relentless and ferocious in the things that you do. So I've been really, really busy and loving the journey. And I'm really excited to be talking to you guys here to delve into a lot of different things. But I've been talking. One of the things that's really on my peripheral is the artificial intelligence, what's going on in Europe, around the world in terms of with migrants and stuff, because it is all linked to the collapse of the system that we're going through now. And I'm calling it here on Meta Mysteries. We are having a societal collapse now. And all the things that I've been saying since 2021, when I started really speaking on my social media about these things, are coming to play now. And
it's a design collapse, really, is what it is. That's why they want to introduce all the different people from all the different walks of life into all the different countries, because it collapses what everybody's used to at that point. Everybody has their whenever you're living in a country, most of the people in that country do just about a lot of the same things, right? I mean, you might have your people that are pro religion or pro spirituality, but for the most part, people don't really mess with each other. But whenever you get like extremists in any group, and that's the way that it's going to be. So like you could see how it's absolutely designed. But you did say something earlier that it's been something that I've been looking really like all the way into my third eye into, brother. It's like you mentioned porn earlier, and we don't ever talk about it, but we have talked about like sex magic in the past, right? And what all is encompassed within sex magic, and you know, how does it work, and you know, is it the best way to try and manifest anything? And I tell you, dude, the more I look into it, the more I understand it, the more you connect the dots within magic, within witchcraft, within anybody who's just trying to manifest anything, whatever, right? When you come to the understanding that what they always say is that if you're ever trying to manifest something, think about it as you're about to orgasm, right? And it's crazy because I'm not going to think of a Ferrari whenever I'm about to orgasm, right? Like, why would you do that? Like, it goes against human nature to think about that. But then I started thinking about the porn industry in general and why I have become anti-porn, because you understand that they are magicians, brother. Like, it is wild if you think about it. So the French, they call the orgasm a tiny death or a little death or something like that, right? That's what they their word comes out to, is the little death. And if you think about it, whenever you're doing it via magic or witchcraft or something like that, it's the reason why it works is because it is a little sacrifice. And if we think about what is it like, if you, I don't want to be crude, but if you don't blow your seed on just nothingness, that oil or whatever, it's like the anointing oil. If you look into the whole like it's the oil that goes up to the claustrum, right? And that's where like a lot of yogis they'll do they'll hold on to their seed and they won't waste it or anything like that. And if you get to a certain point in meditation, that anointing oil, we'll call it, will go all the way up, and that's like rising up through the chakras. And I'm explaining this very poorly. I'm sorry, I haven't looked into it in a minute, but that's the way that it works. So whenever you're trying to raise your consciousness, you're not spilling seed, and that would be what the yogis and the mystics and the gurus always talk about. Like taking a step towards enlightenment and whatnot, right? If you think about it, every single time you watch porn and you finish, you are giving a sacrifice over to that porn industry. If you really think about it, because what are you thinking about as soon as you're about to? You know what I'm saying? Like that sacrifice goes to them because what's in your mind is what you're watching. So it's kind of like, it's almost like black magic in that point, if you really think about it. And that is how the porn industry has become so financially secure. Not even just secure, they're rich. They're insanely rich. And that's because everybody, every day, millions and millions and millions of people, like The Rock says, it's like millions of people are committing that little sacrifice, and the porn industry just continues to rise. Meanwhile, it's sucking the life, literally, out of everybody every day that is just wasting it. So it's almost the opposite of like a spiritual awakening. It is preventing the spiritual awakening. I might even go as far as to say that.
That's what I was going to add to that, or because it's not so much. I mean, even if it is feeding into that industry, it is at the very least disabling you from using that life force, that energy inside you for what you're trying to achieve. You know what I mean? It's just depleting you of that, and so that's actually really interesting.
Yeah, right. I mean, and that's the thing, is that if you look into all that sex magic stuff, it sounds crazy, but not saying that I have used it and that it absolutely has worked, but I have used it and it absolutely I'm just kidding.
I knew it. I knew it.
But no, it's crazy, dude. And so, yeah, it's just about becoming conscious of all the different things. And I think just becoming aware of every single having a level of awareness for every single decision that you make in your life can take you a long way. How many people on a regular basis are doing things out of habit without even thinking about it? Meanwhile, you get guys like LD Alchemist or JS Garrett or EA Coetting, and they're like, yo, you're actually a magician. You are manifesting every single thought and emotion that you have on a daily basis. If you take that and you apply it to every single, in quotes, habit of your life, you're manifesting your life that you don't like. You are
even accidentally, right? Isn't that something?
Accidentally.
Yeah, and I was having a conversation on my podcast with a guy called Brent Webb. So he was a coach for some of the stars. I think like Patti LaBelle and Joan Rivers and some really, really extremely big stars in Hollywood. And he said that one of the things that you can do to level up your mindset and work on the parts of yourself is that when you start to see those traits that you're talking about, that is coming from that part of you, which people call the ego. The ego is just that part of you that's addicted to the fear and all the pornography and the bad habits and stuff. And he said that you give it a name, right? So when you call it a name, it becomes like a character. And when that character starts to act up, so let's say for this example, the character is called Sam. So you would just say, hey, Sam, you know what I mean? I know you're doing that thing again, so that helps you know to realize that that behavior is not really you, right? It is part of you, but it's not you. Because you're in the human experience, you have duality. And the whole point and purpose of here on earth is to have these experiences, to conquer them and to overcome them. But the problem that we have is that we have a system that encourages us to keep feeding those parts that are supposed to help us to transcend and transmute them in order to achieve our highest potential. So we end up having this feedback loop system. So what I realize is that you have to yes, you have to take account for everything, but it is also like you have to take it to the minute level in terms of, okay, being on time, that helps you to go to sleep, on time to get up to go to work, right? On time to get the bus, right? Then you're like, okay, you have to have like a bedroom routine in terms of like, for me, there's certain things that I say now before I go to bed to put myself in the right frame of mind. You have to take accountability for all of these things, right? And the problem that we have is that the things like the porn industry, the music industry, the social media, and dude, like social media has gotten worse since we've last spoken. You know, it is insane. The levels of debauchery, like, dude, I saw a reel. I don't even, like I said, I don't even know how these things come up in your feed because I don't subscribe to these things. But there was this one that I saw, and I swear to you, like, it did its job, but I said to myself, this is the level that girls have come to know. So there was this car and the bonnet was open. And she said, so today I'm going to show you, I'm going to teach you how to fix this car. She was like, nah, I'm kidding. I'm not going to teach you how to sell this car. But if you want to see my fanny, you can get it for $3.99. I was like, gosh damn. Like, you know what I mean? This is what like it's come to. Girls are selling their butthole now for $3.99. And what's happening now is that there are no role models out there anymore, right? There are no role models in men or role models in women, right? Because most of these people are actually either bought or paid for or fake and will sell their soul to get a come up, right? So what we're doing now is that we're just feeding the flesh. We're just succumbing to the carnal pleasures, and we're supposed to overcome those through discipline, hard work, mindset, getting into shape, being careful of the company you keep, look at the movies that you're watching, the media you listen to, because it's all a distraction, guys. It's there to literally lower your vibration. And when people understand that energy is literally the life source of not only you, but the universe, you fight hard to protect your energy. So spunking your load over porn, I mean, all of us that are men have done it, right? All of us. But honestly, I guess you get to a certain stage in your life where it's like, well, what's the point, right? I honestly don't see the point anymore in it. So I honestly try to avoid any sort of porn at all, because it's like, what's it going to do? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a temporary means to an end, really, is what it is. And it's also, if you think about it, that whole industry is kind of gearing toward the way that social media is coming nowadays. If you think about it, everybody out there is making 1, 2, 3 minute videos. I mean, there are people that are absolutely like watching long form podcasts and long form YouTube shows and long form movies. And don't get me wrong, there are still those people. But in the meantime, since we're so addicted to our devices, those short videos, they fill a gap, right? And if you think about it, every single time you watch a video, or every single time, you're flipping through TikTok or Instagram or whatever, and you're just flipping and flipping and flipping, you're taking on so much information in such a short amount of time. So it is good in that sense. However, it's almost like it's targeting your little like reward center in your mind. Every single time I look at my phone, I can learn something brand new. You know what I'm saying? And so every single thing has become to this, it's little rewards that don't really pay off, but it keeps us addicted. Not only that, but then you got the blue screen, the blue light that is coming through your phones, which is ultimately like horrible. You shouldn't be. I mean, that's why I wear these red glasses, is to refrain from all the blue light that's coming through, because it's toxic. But there's a lot of ways in which they try to manipulate you and just try and, keep their eagle talons in your back so they can have absolute control. And if they can control the human psyche in such a way, it's not even they. I mean, it is they. And I don't even like to frame it as, oh, it's the New World Order. Oh, it's the Illuminati. Oh, it's because their magic doesn't work once you awaken. You know what I'm saying? Like once you wake up from the dream or wake up from the nightmare, you see how they're doing it, and it doesn't affect you as much anymore. It's still a little bit day to day. I mean, you still got to be able to, talk to your people, and, you want to be able to follow your favorite content creators and whatever, right? But for the most part, like once you become aware of it, you see the game for what it is, and you're not necessarily succumbing to it anymore as much, at least.
I think real quick, what's really interesting about that is, how they, and not to get too off topic, but how they invented or came to the understanding of how to make LSD or whatever it was at the same time as the atom bomb. And it was just like kind of an interesting like correlation that just so happened to be. Well, I think it's very interesting that around this time, seemingly a lot more people are waking up and really trying to be in the present moment, because that's where all the energy and where all the power is, where you're able to really access those deeper levels, as Todd was speaking on earlier. And during this time is also the hardest time to be present, because like you said, there's always those gaps to be filled. You're always looking at some short video, or you're always like trying to fill those little gaps of the time that you would normally have just to yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like
nobody has time to be bored anymore.
Right. It's like before we had smartphones and all of this, you remember in high school and junior high, like you were just to yourself, man, with your own thoughts and just observing shit, and now it's like, well, I'm going to look down and miss everything around me.
And that's the thing is that, whenever you would get bored and you would just stare off into the sky, or you'd stare out at the water or watch the traffic, or you would just people watch or whatever, you would be slipping into somewhat of a light trance if you really think about it. Mm-hmm. And in that light trance, you're going into
you're meditating.
It's a meditative state. Yeah. And that's what, if you think about it, like that's what Sadhguru always talks about with meditation and yoga and stuff like that. He goes, you really don't need to sit in a lotus position to be in a meditative state. Go for a walk in the woods. You'll be in a
meditation. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to make a suggestion to you guys now. And I learned this from a lady that I interviewed called Janine Regan Sinclair. And she spoke about listening to classical music. So what I have been doing since that podcast is that whenever I am working on the computer, whether it is working on fitness routines, screening guests to come on the podcast, whatever, I put on Beethoven or Mozart or the classical music. And I'll be honest, I am so in the zone because the frequency does something to your brain. Mm-hmm. And I can work longer hours and I feel more alert. And I don't necessarily feel super tired. So that is something that I have been really doing. And that has been a game changer for me. And the thing is that I realized that since I started listening to that, I can tell much more certain types of music that just simply don't align with me anymore. Mm-hmm. That I would hear it and I'd be like, nah, right? I just can't do it. I feel sick of it, right? And have you not realized that songs today are at maximum 2 minutes long now? No one does songs anymore that are 3 or 4 minutes. Like those were like back in the day when people actually had something to say. Now,
there's no more American Pie.
But Earth, Wind and Fire, dude. They had some long bangers, dude.
Yeah.
But there's the thing, but dude, even when you go back to hip hop and stuff, right? People actually had verses. And then you'll have the chorus or the hook. Now, sometimes you're starting with the chorus or the hook, a verse, chorus and the hook, and that's it, finished.
Yeah.
There's no substance there anymore. Right. So for me, I don't even really listen to music so much so because it doesn't resonate with me anymore. And I feel how low it is, right? And then you have all this mumble rap, which people have no vocabulary and it just sounds like trash, rubbish.
It's funny that you brought up classical music because I just found out about this one artist. It's called Codec or Codex or something like that. And they make classical trap music. So they'll take like Beethoven and they'll go and it starts fucking going with the trap music and it's pretty awesome. So I definitely would recommend that. It's just fun to listen to, really. But I do understand that, like, if you go back and look at the musical tones within classical music, it was designed, like, even babies, they say that, like, you play that for babies, they're gonna fall right asleep. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's designed to calm you. It's designed to put you into a meditative state because what they were shooting for back then was perfection. It was an actual, like an art
Work
style.
of art.
Yeah, yeah. And nowadays it's it's complete opposite of that, really.
But just look at art today. Art today is not really art. It's actually repulsive, right? And everything in the system now is repulsive. And the thing is, right, is that we have a small group of people in the world that seem to have their claws into everything. And they have their claws into the porn industry. They're the ones that owns OnlyFans as well. And they have very, very high levers in governmental system, judicial systems that they can pull. And this group of people are not even really who they say they are, right? When you actually go back into history, because they actually converted to a religion and they're not really genetically from that region that they say they are. And it's so bad that if you are in that country and you try to get a DNA test, you're actually not allowed to get a DNA test. Did you know that?
Mm.
So I'm going to get really controversial now. So you're not allowed to get DNA tests in the state of Israel, in the country of Israel. You're not allowed. And the reason for that is that the people today that call themselves Jews are a group of people called Ashkenazim. They came from the region of Ukraine and Russia. They converted to Judaism in the 7th century or the 8th century, 1 and 2. And the reason they did that was for political reasons, because they were sandwiched between Christendom and Islam. And they converted for political reasons. And when those people have done DNA tests of today, they have zero genetic links to the place where they say they're from. Zero. So
yeah, it's, you know what, and that is definitely controversial to some, but it does make your ears perk up a little bit, because if it's God chosen people, then it's the Holy Land, but it's actually, they're not even from there. I get it. My idea, my whole thought process on that, like people who believe that a plot of land is God's favorite is that's asinine to me. That's like saying that, like, well, God made all the people, but these ones are his favorite. Like, no, that is not how it works. I believe that people have been completely misinterpreting that, or missing the boat on that all along. And if that is how it's supposed to be interpreted, my God, you want to talk about sinning, which actually means to miss the mark? That's the sin right there.
Well, I'm going to get even more controversial for you. So if you go into the Old Testament, they trace their lineage from Ashkenaz. Ashkenaz is a place in Germany. This is why they're called the Ashkenazim. And they migrated into that region that is Ukraine and Russia. And they converted. So their language, they didn't even speak Hebrew prior to recent times. Like, it gets really, really, really woolly, because they wrote themselves into history. Don't forget, they wrote the Bible, the Old Testament, and they put themselves into history and backdated themselves. They have zero ties to anything they say is real. They have zero linkage DNA-wise. They have zero linkage in the language they spoke originally. And they just, what it looks like to me is that they were people of high knowledge in terms of mysticism, and they were aligned with one of the factions. So this is why they have very good skills for commerce and also in terms of money, because they are really what you would call the Canaanites, right? And the Canaanites were in that region in Babylon. So it gets really, really deep, where they seem to have been learned all of these things from then. They were expelled and they went to a different place in hiding. And now the time was right and they came back out and resurfaced and basically wrote themselves back into history. So yeah, it gets really, really controversial, and also it gets very, you always have to be very careful how you say things, because the censorship is real, But I implore people to do reading for themselves. And you would realize that nothing that we've been told is real. Like literally everything they've been told us is fake, right?
Oh,
And
we're about to get real weird here because I just found something out. And I was thinking, because you called the Ashkenazis almost like mystic, like, right?
yeah,
And I was like, I wonder if they were dabbling in the Kabbalah. And so I just looked it up. Bro, the Ashkenazis, the Jews, as Brandon Kroll likes to say, the Ashkenazis have a historical connection to the Kabbalah, particularly through the Hasidei Ashkenaz, a mystical movement that emerged in the 12th and 13th centuries in Germany. This group contributed significantly to Jewish mysticism by compiling and interpreting earlier mystical texts, influencing the development of Kabbalistic thought.
Whoa.
Like the Kabbalah is Jewish mysticism. Like
this
that
is what I said. They're the Ashkenazim. They come from a place called Ashkenaz, right? So this is why I say that everything that we're being told and steered to do and to think is not how they say it is. And what is happening is that we're having a bifurcation of humanity right now, where we have those people, because the thing is that when they say the goose, as how you said, I think that's a pretty good way to maybe get away from the censorship. The goose, that's what he calls them?
No, he says the yews, like
the yews, like a sheep.
No,
oh yeah, okay, the
like
yews.
the yew tree, and
yeah. So the thing is with the yews, right, is that they are just as brainwashed as even the normies, because what they're doing is that I can't remember. There was a guy that there was this. I think it was in the 1500s, 1566, I think, from memory. He wrote a book, and it goes salvation through sin or something like that. And that is basically the mindset that they have, right? And the thing is what's going to happen now is that we're being forced down this rule, because their belief system is that we need to make Earth so bad and so dark that God comes back. But the God they are worshiping is the negative energy that controls this planet. And they are just...
Demiurge? We talking about the demiurge?
Yeah, I would say with the demiurge, and there is some links that this energy originates from Saturn, and that energy is beamed to the moon, and the moon is what creates the false matrix here. And there's a lot of, when you really get into the weeds, basically that energy, because on the top of Saturn, you have the hexagram, which is the same star that they have on there. Yep. But it's actually called the Star of Remphan, right? And it's actually spoken about in Amos and in Acts from memory. And basically, when you look at the hexagram, and when you put it together for three-dimensional, you get a cube. So in fact, the Muslims who are stone worshippers, so they bow down to a cube, and the Jews who actually have like a cube on the top of their head when they go to worship, is really the same energy that they're really worshiping, right? Which is why they're quite similar when you look in terms of their doctrine. It's very, very similar. So
you want to take it a step farther, even the cross can be folded up into a cube as well.
Facts. So this is why I always say that religion is the biggest con ever given to humanity. And religion is the reason why we have all the pain and strife on earth, because everything is a religion. And as they've coined it, the three main religions that rule the planet are the religion of money, the religion of government, and organized religion. And when you look at all of their patrons and followers, they all have the same mindset. They have an indoctrination because they have dogmatic views. And those dogmatic views come from doctrine that you're not allowed to question. So Mr. Trump is the Lord and Savior for some of these people. So those are the people that believe in the government. The Jews and all the other religious people believe that their God can't be questioned and they're allowed to go and rape, murder, and kill because their God said it. And then the other people that will sell their soul for $1 bill. So basically their God is money, right? So this is why I say that, we have all these religious people that following a religion without really knowing it, and some know it. but the energy, the fruits, the attributes are all the same. So what we have now is that we have a hidden hand that's shepherding all and steering all of humanity in a corner. And in order to break down the system, because they want to reveal that the gods of old are the gods that are going to come and save us. The vast majority of people, I would even put it as far as 99% of humans on earth will bow down and worship them, because humans have this predisposition to worship anything or anyone they deem is greater than them. To give it a context, just look at how people react when they see people like Taylor Swift or Rihanna or people with Kanye West when he was at his heyday. These women would faint or pass out. And I saw a video today on YouTube where this girl, I can't remember who the name of the guy was, but she was on camera literally saying, "Oh, I give you head." Like, and he was like, "But I can't really respond to this now in public, you know?" Like, I mean, he's trying to tell her, "All right, look, just chill. You know, we can do it." But he's not trying to, like, you know what I mean, come off and say, "Okay, let's go." He's saying, "Look, I can't really comment or say anything to this because I'm in public." So I brought in that context to say that we will just look at anybody that has any sort of power, fame, or ability, and we can worship them. We can just bow down. And if they tell us to suck their members, we will do it because we think that they're great, right? So what's happening now is that they're just stirring up more and more negative energy, because what's happened is that we have broken homes where there are no fathers in homes. We have single mothers that are doing their best, but they are not able to really have the balance in the household because they're not there because they're working. So the TV and the social media and the video games are raising the children. Then the boys grow up to be gangsters or freaking crooks, drug dealers, whatever. And then they go and impregnate girls, go off to prison, become single, and the women become single mothers. So the system continues. So all we're getting is hoes and freaking gangsters, and we're not getting any sort of role models or leadership. Then when you add in a money system that taxes the hell out of you, that you hardly can have enough to pay your rent and eat food. So in the case like in Europe and in any kingdom, well, we have to flash here. Right? You can't London. You can't live in London on your own, mate. You know what I'm saying?
Dude, it's starting to get that way out in America. You know what I'm saying? Like, rent is crazy. Mortgage, I mean, good luck. You got, I mean, to get conspiratorial here, but the BlackRock is going around and paying above asking price on every single house out there. The owner of BlackRock, or the CEO, Larry Fink, he actually just got on the board of the World Economic Forum.
Oh,
so if you think about that, we go from Klaus Schwab to Larry Fink, which is even worse. Larry Fink comes out and says, I don't believe, and this is where he's like trying to steer the World Economic Forum over in Davos, Switzerland and stuff like that. And he's like, I don't believe that there shouldn't be any more single family households, and there shouldn't be any more single owned vehicles. That essentially we should be sharing our houses and sharing our cars. And that's really feeding off of what Klaus Schwab, who came before him, said, that you'll own nothing and be happy. So there's that whole thing. And so the world is absolutely getting to a very corrupt place. And I would suggest that it's because people are kind of giving up their own sovereignty, in a sense, if you really think about it, like their own individual sovereignty. And they're almost looking at these people in high places as if they are lords, as if they are gods. And it makes you wonder, you know, with all the different chemicals that are going on in the sky and in the water and in the food and on TV and literally everywhere else, it makes you wonder, what exactly are they targeting? And I think I got it, dude. So if you look at it, there is something within your brain. It's called a VMAT2. Have you ever looked into the VMAT2 before?
Never heard of it.
It's a VMAT2 gene. And this is very interesting because it helps regulate neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine and stuff like that. It helps with your it could influence your mood and your perception. It could potentially affect your spiritual and mystical experiences. That's why it's actually called the God gene. And so most people will say, well, that is actually, it's not, I wouldn't even call it a God gene. I would actually call it a worship gene. And what's interesting about the God gene, the worship gene, the VMAT2, whatever you want to call it is that whenever you take psychedelics, that goes away.
Oh.
So you're no longer worshiping. You're no longer looking at somebody else in power. You're realizing, holy shit, this is releasing me from the shackles that I thought that were around my feet. You're no longer, a peasant to the rulerships of the worlds anymore. You are literally like, you feel like you're melting in and becoming one with the rest of reality. How could you ever worship anything?
Holy shit.
Isn't that crazy?
I know. So I didn't remember it was called a VMAT2, but I always call it the worship gene. So I want to share some good news with people on that note, right? If people think about it, human beings are so strong and so powerful that the levels that the system and our overlords have gone to, and they still don't have us completely in submission. Think about it. The food that we have is poisoned. 90% of the food on the market is hybrid food, so GMO, right? And I use the word hybrid because when I interviewed my father on my show, he said that he does not want to necessarily use the word GMO 100% because he says, for example, if you go and buy an orange now from the supermarket, the oranges don't have any seeds. My mother bought a pawpaw. She sent me a picture and she said she bought it hoping she could get seeds. There's no seeds. So those are hybrid because they're genetically modified to not produce the seeds. So it's not necessarily that GMO means bad, but sometimes it is bad, but what it is modified in most cases to not produce seeds or to be resistant against pesticides so that they can spray the pesticides on it. I digress. So the food that we have is poor quality. The education that we have is poor quality. So people come out of school being stupid, right? Then we are taxed the hell out of. We're fed a lot of debauchery and crap music and a lot of social programming. Yet still, we still have 7 billion people on the planet. So what that tells me, right, is that humans are way stronger than we think. The problem that we have is a lack of belief in ourselves. This is the thing that I am seeing. And I see it in my clients. I see it in people who come to me to get coached. And some of them don't agree to work with me because they have a lack of belief in themselves.
It's because it's a reliance on convenience. If you really think about it, that's really what it is. It's like fucking JG Wentworth up in this bitch. It's my money and I need it now. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's all about how can I do something faster? How can I get somebody to do something for me? I think that is actually the reason why religion became so prominent across the world in the first place, is because everybody, for probably the longest period of time, people were trying to figure out like, what is my purpose here? Why am I here? I hear about all these other people, they're worshiping all these other gods. I don't know which one to pick, but hey, my grandmother and my mom and my dad, they worship this God. So I guess I'm just going to worship this God. It became a convenience because you don't have to do the spiritual work. If you think about it, like there is no contemplation if the story's already told and you're already told what to do. So that's the convenience, in my opinion, of just religion in general. But back to what you were talking about earlier, you were mentioning the GMOs, and it made me think, they recently just changed that. They don't call them GMOs anymore, which GMO stands for genetically modified organism. They changed it because it had a stink to it, right? It's still the same old shit. They call it bioengineered now. Like that's better.
Yeah.
Dude,
as long as it sounds better,
It's like going from UFO to UAP. Like, come on, we're talking about the same thing.
Yeah. This is the thing I can say to your listeners, because obviously this is an area that I work in, day out, which is health, fitness, and nutrition. If you guys were to just take a quick 30 seconds for every set of food you buy in the supermarket and just read the label. And if you look out for one of the main, there are a few things: artificial flavoring, MSG, and high levels of salt, sugar, high fructose corn syrup, and stuff like that. You don't even have to go into the weeds or seed oils or not. If you keep it basic with those things, you're going to improve your nutrition by levels, right? So if you cut out the things that are high in sugar, high in salt, MSG, artificial flavorings, high fructose corn syrup, you're going to go a long, long way to having better nutrition, right? Because your food is energy, and there's a very big link between gut health and how you feel about yourself, your state of mind, your state of being, right? And
gut brain biome.
Yes. The thing that I find with all of my clients, from the time I change their nutrition, they start to feel better about themselves, right? Mm-hmm. And then what that does now is that allows them to vibrate at a higher frequency. So when I start to recommend books and meditations and I create certain habits for them to do, they're much more receptive to do those things because the food that they're eating is higher vibratory food. Then when you add in the exercise, that also ups your metabolism, right? And I've got, I call it the compound body training army. I've got some very awesome people that I coach. Some of them are very high level in their job, and they're coming on leaps and bounds, right? Simply because they're focusing on their mind, their body, and their spirit. Mm-hmm. And these are the three main aspects of you that you need to work on simultaneously. And you can't work on either one in a vacuum. You have to work on all of them holistically, right? So one of the reasons why I am able to stay in shape all year round and my clients is because I eat the right things. Do I have snacks every now and then? Absolutely, right? But the snacks are a treat and not the thing that I eat every single day, right? Mm-hmm. Do I drink alcohol every now and then? Absolutely. I love wine, right? But I don't drink wine every single weekend, right? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Every now and then, you know what I mean? I like I call it hanging with the fairies, but that's just a little bit of cannabis, right? But that's the new term I use, hanging with the fairies. Do we do it every weekend? No, I don't. Because everything is about balance.
Yeah. And they're making that shit too strong, dude. That's Absolutely. What I think. It's just too damn strong.
It is. That's one of the reasons too why I don't hang with the fairies that much. What I do now is like, this is mad, but I actually eat it now. So what I do is like, because it's so strong, I would just eat it, and in a couple hours, I'm buzzing. But I actually get a better buzz when I do it like that. You know, especially if I have the time as well.
You gotta be careful with that. You eat too much, you will start tripping your balls off. Dude, I've had that happen, and it's not a good trip. Like, it's a terrifying trip.
I remember, right, 4 years ago, this is mate. So I was because I can get it pretty cheap. So you get it in like an ounce for like very cheap. So I remember morning I was doing some eggs. So I cut up some like probably this much, right? Just cut it up and I sprinkle it on top of my eggs, right? You know, like how if you have like oregano, you put on top.
Yeah.
Oh, mate. So I was on the computer working away, and about 2 hours later, I was like, gosh, what's going on? I actually forgot I had eaten it, right? And I had to go and lie down. That stuff was so strong. It put me to sleep for like 3 hours.
Right.
So you're absolutely right where you have to be careful. But
when it feels like you're sitting next to yourself and your heart's racing and you forget to fucking breathe, dude, it's not fun for me. I'm sorry.
No, you know? Real paranoid.
You saw me that one time, dude. It was awful.
But my point is that we need to have balance in our lives, right? And what we're being forced to do is not have balance, right? This is why the system bombards us with these frequencies all the time. And this is one of the reasons why I have an organic pyramid in my flat, because it goes a long way to combat the EMFs and all that kind of stuff, because we're literally being bombarded with frequencies every second of the day, right?
Mhm.
And the thing is now is that you can become like super paranoid and super anal, and you would never eat anything, you would never go anywhere, you would go and live in a forest and become a breatharian. But what I say to people is that, look, I take the approach where I will do the things that I deem are reasonable, and the rest I will just let go and forget. And the reason for that is that those parts that I let go and forget, I literally would say I focus on my mindset for those things. Because, for example, I don't eat takeaways, at least very, very, very seldom. I don't buy processed food. I don't eat I don't eat loads of more sugar. When I do have snacks, I make sure that like my snacks have like maybe 5 grams of sugar, right?
Mhm.
There's one that I like a lot that has like 7 grams, but that's like once every 2 months. Excuse me, I have that as a treat, right? But I don't make these things a habit. And again, just because you have them, the whole world is not going to end, right?
Mhm.
But it's about having balance and discipline. So what I do then is that I say, okay, I do these things that I think are reasonable. I control my caloric intake. And then if I go out on a weekend, because the last time I had something to drink was like 6 weeks ago. I went out with some Spanish lads. We had some tequila, right?
Mhm.
And that was it, right? Now, having one shot of tequila is not going to ruin my gains, or it's not going to make me put on like 2 kilos of fat in the weekend. It was just a one-off, right? So my point is to people is that do what you can do that for you deem is reasonable, and the rest just forget about. And the reason why I say forget about it is if you give your energy to something that you really cannot control, it means that you're leaking energy, and where energy goes, that is where your attention flows, and then you're becoming weaker, and you're really draining yourself, because look at yourself as like a social bank account or energetic bank account. The things that you do, you are putting into that bank account. Sleeping right, doing exercise, eating correctly, reading books, meditation, hanging with the right set of people. Those are things that are in your control, right? Now, if you can't control the chemtrails, right? And you may go into you go to fly, right? You're gonna sit down and there's going to be someone next to you, maybe with a mask. You can't control that. Don't worry about the things that you can't control. Focus on the things that are in your control. And if there are other things that you can change, then try to find a plan on how to change them. So, for example, the things that are in your actual control are how you feel, your your physical health, the food you eat, where you live, the job you do. Now, some of those things require more work than others, but they're things that are in your control. So focus on the plan on how to change them, because you can't change something unless you actually make a change. You can't use the same level of mind to find a solution to a challenge that you got into from the same way of thinking. You have to think differently. So my point is that if you look at everything as energy, you're going to start to realize, okay, hold on a minute. You know what? When I hang with Doug makes me feel really, really low. All he does is talk about freaking porn, freaking guns, freaking drugs. Like, I don't want to have these kind of conversations. No, you can tell Doug to not talk about those things. He can say, screw you, Todd. These are what you want to talk about. You have a choice if you want to hang with Doug or not, right? You can ask him to not talk about those things. If he says, no, screw you, Todd, then it's your choice to whether you can stay or leave. So there's always a choice in the vast majority of things. Some things that we don't have a choice in, for the depending on the level you're at, is things like paying tax, because people have 9 to 5s. Now, what you do then is you say, okay, At the moment, I have to pay tax because I'm working for the system. Then what you do is you devise a plan for you to be able to set yourself up like how the elites have set themselves up in order so you can reduce the amount of tax that you pay. So you can have things like tax write-offs and stuff like that. So what that means is study the system. Maybe you need to go and train under a mentor. That calls for investment. So you work overtime, get the money, hire a mentor or coach to teach you how to come up with the system. So my point is there's always a choice. Sometimes there are more steps to it. Sometimes it takes longer. And there's some things like the chemtrails that you just can't control. Just forget about them. And by forgetting about those things, it gives you a lot of freedom. Because one of the biggest causes of human suffering are attachments. So for anyone that wants to learn very deeply about this, I recommend they read the Bhagavad Gita. And Krishna explains to his student Arjuna how attachments cause the biggest suffering for all humans. And the really poignant story that he gave to Krishna that always stuck with me, Krishna told Arjuna, you need to be able to look at a piece of gold the same way you look at a lump of stone. Or wrong. A lump of gold, you need to be able to look at a lump of gold the same way you look at a piece of stone. You need to be able to throw away that piece of gold the same way you do as a stone. Now, that's allegory for you letting go of the things that are holding you back. And I know it's scary, guys. Trust me. Like, for me, one of the things that I have had to go through, and everyone's situation is different, but the way in my consciousness it appears is like I had to jump off the cliff. Now, in other people, it may be to dive into a pool of water because you're afraid of water. For everyone, is different. In my case, the image that was very firm in my consciousness is I had to jump off a cliff. And my higher self said to me, Todd, if you jump, I'm going to catch you. And it took a long time for me to get to that point. But what happened is that the suffering continued and continued and continued and continued till it got to a point where I was so broken that I literally let go. And I can teach people something else. You let go once and that thing comes back again, but from another level. So when you go from level 0 to level 1, you had to jump off the cliff, or you jump in the pool if you have to jump in the water, or maybe, I don't know, whatever it is that is holding you back, that mental image. When you get to level 1 to level 2, that same thing comes back, but in a slightly different form. And to get from 2 to 3, the same thing comes back, but it changes again, right? So every time you go up another level, you have to figuratively jump off the cliff, because it is your refinement to another level, and it gets more difficult and more difficult. But here's the good news. The more times that you do it, you're able to reduce the amount of time that you suffer, because you're like, hold on a minute, I've been here before. I've done this. And it's just a matter of saying, okay, take a deep breath and say, I've jumped off before, and I got caught. Why wouldn't I not be caught again? Right? So it's that sort of conversation you have to have in your head, or maybe in front of a mirror, or under psychedelics, or hanging with the fairies, whatever. You know what I'm saying? But it's a conversation you have to have with yourself. And you have that conversation over and over and over and over until you reach the highest level where you actually become one with the source completely, where you disappear, right? So that's the good news.
It's breaking the cycle of samsara, which would be releasing your inhibitions to keep your attachments, and I like what you're saying as far as like raising levels, because honestly, you could even substitute that word with dimensions or densities or something like that, if you really think about it, because once you start releasing all the attachments that do not benefit you in any kind of way, don't benefit your mind, don't benefit your higher self or your soul or whatever, like man, you really feel a lot lighter. And whenever you feel a lot lighter, and yeah, I like how you're kind of breaking it all down there, because you're talking about, watch what you eat and make sure you're getting your exercise and making sure you're meditating, and all of these things all have to be done in order for you to vibrate a little bit higher, right? And if you can do that, man, it really does kind of feel like you're traversing dimensions in a sense. And I've come to the realm of understanding that this entire world is some kind of matrix. And I think, just to tie in what Daryl Lanka or Bashar, has said before, he's like, every single second you're like skipping frame rates. If you really think about it, like you're going from one world to another world to another world to another world. I don't know. Maybe it is literal. I don't know. But if you just think about it on the level of just your mind, if you just imagine if that was the case, and this is something that I've been playing around with myself too, even if it wasn't the case, if you play around with that idea in your mind, that every single second or every single quarter of a second, you're switching into another higher or lower density or dimension or something like that, it kind of makes sure that you are maintaining your level of awareness. Because if you go back into your habitual ways and you're eating like shit, you're not getting up off the couch, you're not necessarily worried about meditating, you're not worried about vibrating at a higher rate or anything like that, then, your body essentially just becomes a magnet for whatever it is that you're putting out, right? And if you can change that way, if you can try and bring your level of awareness just to the forefront at almost every possible moment that you possibly can, which is why meditation is so important. And dude, it is crazy. Like, you literally start to feel the matrix shifting. And you'll start to see like strange and stranger and stranger synchronicities all the time. And it's almost like those synchronicities to me are kind of just like little reminders of like, you're on it. You're on one right now. You're doing what you need to do in that kind of way. At least I kind of use them as little check markers right there.
You're, like you said, dude, you're shifting your attention. If you're literally having 60,000 thoughts in your mind, every single day, and depending on which one of those thoughts you decide to let grab hold, and this is where Todd was talking about attachments. If you decide to say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and spiral into that negative thought, and now, and let's say it lasts all day. Well, that day you're literally in a different world, because now you're not even capable of paying attention to some of the more positive things that are already happening around you. Oh, you know what I mean? In that case, your matrix, I guess that's the best word to say, matrix, the one you exist in is the one that you've decided to kind of follow that bread trail of that thought that you just so happen to have, it came out of nowhere.
Dude, there was this guy. I used to date this one chick back, I don't know, like 15 years ago, something like that. And her dad was like as swole as Todd Cave is, right? Just in as fucking shape.
Damn.
In his 50s, which I used to think, how are you doing it? Because he used to work shift work. He was always gone. And, how are you maintaining a steady diet and working out and doing all this stuff? He goes, hey, let me tell you a little secret. The way that you refrain from eating is right before you're about to order that food, or right before you're about to take a bite of that food. Imagine what you're going to feel like 2 minutes after you finish the plate. Like, if that feeling resonates and you actually continue to eat the food, you're now it just gives you a certain level of awareness to where it's like, all right, do I really want to eat this? Because that pizza looks great. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm a whore for pizza. You know what I'm saying? Pizza, calzones, all that stuff, fried chicken wings all day. But if you imagine how you're going to feel afterward, right before you take that first bite, you're not. You might succumb to it every so often.
You're making that agreement, dude.
But you're making a conscious decision to feel like shit.
This is why I get my clients to track their meals, so that they can physically see what they're eating, so that they can see what I have designed for them to eat in terms of calories and macronutrients compared to what they're actually eating, because that is powerful. Excuse me, because when you realize, like, I have a client, and like I said, right, when people follow my coaching, they get incredible results. So what's happening is that he was in great shape and he got into better shape when we started to work with each other. And then because I had given him a meal plan, he was like, okay, well, I know this here, no, off the top of my head. And he started tracking. And 2 months later, he was up 15 or 20 pounds. And he says, but Todd, I can't believe that. I think he said, I've not really been eating that much. I said, so what have you been eating? And he said to me, well, I've just been having like a bit of nuts here and there. I said, dude, like nuts are great. I love nuts, but a handful of nuts is about 500 calories, right? Because nuts are extremely high in fat. They're great for bulking and they're good for testosterone and stuff. So it's not that nuts are bad, but if you're trying to stay lean, you can't eat high amounts of nuts. So long story short, he started back to track his music. Okay, Todd, I'll start back tracking. So since he started back to track, he's lost those 15 pounds and he's back in the shape he wanted to be, he was in before. So this is why, like, a lot of times people would say, well, Todd, I don't eat that much. Well, the thing is that that's actually not true. You may not think that, but those little snacks here and there add up to a lot. So what happens is that you may not be eating physically a lot, but the food you're eating are high in calories. So if you're eating small portions of food that are high in calories, you're still going to put on weight. So this is why you have to flip it and eat food that is bigger in volume with less amount of calories so that you feel satiated, so you would be able to go longer times without eating. So this is why me personally, 45% of my entire nutrition is protein, right? I was talking to my mother today and I had a leaf salad, blue cheese and cherry tomatoes, and I had some sea bass. I had no rice, no potato, nothing. I got all the carbohydrates from the leafy greens and the cherry tomatoes. And then I got in some little extra protein and some fat with the cheese because fat is great for testosterone. And I recently had a test where they did my T levels and they're freaking over the roof. Like the lady looked at me, she says, Todd, can I ask you a question? Is like, yeah. She says, are you on any hormones or are you on any gear? I'm like, huh? Why? She says, because your T levels are for your age are pretty high. Well, thank you very much.
How old are you, Todd, if you don't mind me asking?
I am 43 years old.
What?
I should say 43 years young. So
Hey,
There it is.
Yeah, you don't look at it all, actually.
Thank you. I'm 43 years young and I will be 44 years young this year in a couple of months.
Good shit, dude.
Yeah.
The lady's like, you got enough testosterone for 4 grown men. What are you doing? You know,
Give me
like,
some of
what's
that.
going on? Yeah, right.
So the secret is really a few things. One, obviously nutrition. We've covered that. Another thing is rest and recovery. So what I've realized is that because of how I work now, because I work 7 days, I train 3 days a week now instead of 4. So that extra day of recovery helps me. The other thing that I do is I basically do meditation. So that helps me now to work on my mindset because obviously as a human being, I still feel like eating sometimes things I shouldn't eat. But because now I've worked on my mindset, I'm like, no, I'm not going to eat that because there's no point, right? So that helped
Is it
me.
real quick, just to not just graze over that, when you are really having one of those temptations, like, is it really just a matter of you, like for you to just say no? Or is there like more going on there? Like, is it more of a struggle, more of a fight with yourself? Or can you really stop it in that instant?
Okay, that's a good question. So there are a few things that I do. It depends on what time of day it is. So like, for example, when I work on the podcast at night, so like late nights like this, what I tend to do is a couple of things. If I'm not cutting, like right now I'm cutting, so I wouldn't be eating anything. I would have like three spoons of Greek yogurt and then a big glass of water. So what that does now is that it tricks my brain that it's something sweet, and then the water just washes it down. Now that I am cutting again, what I do know is that one of my clients, he sent me some kratom. Ever heard of kratom?
Yeah.
Oh, mate, kratom is freaking bad boy. I would put a teaspoon of kratom in some water, but because it tastes so terrible, I put in some stevia in it and I drink that bad boy. And dude, I am good. I can get another 3 hours out of it before I would feel like, you know what I mean, I need to do something, like get something to eat or something like that.
Huh.
No, yeah. So that's one of the things I do. Another thing that I may do is like I have like some granola from Gravita. That's 0%. So it's only like 1 gram of sugar in it.
Mhm.
And I will have like maybe like 40 or 50 grams of that. And again, I will wash it down with a glass or a glass and a half of water. And that tends to keep me a bit stable. But because now I am back focused now, like solely on everything now to make me optimize at the highest level, I'm watching really what I eat now specifically. So I mean, if I were to work on the podcast tonight after this show, I would drink some kratom, and that would be it. Because it is really a mindset thing, but you have to know exactly, okay, what are you going to, if you're going to eat something, right, when you have it, what are you going to eat? And one of the two go-tos for me are 3 tablespoons of Greek yogurt, because that's low in sugar anyway and high in protein, and a glass and a half of water, or 40 to 50 grams of dry granola, and then again, the glass of water.
Mhm.
And then if like, depending on like, if it's the middle of the day, I will have like a protein bar, and that would help me as well. But I tried my best to not buy stuff that would be in the house that would be high in sugar or something that would be high in salt and what's not. So the first thing to do is to just not buy those things, right?
Right.
And
Yeah. And this, I'm glad you're here, tonight, because I feel like there's just so much misinformation out there as far as, nutrition and these things. People sometimes say, oh, you should eat several smaller meals throughout the day. And then some people are saying, oh, you just need to eat once a day, And so what would you say would be better, eating more small meals or eating kind of a heftier, all of your nutrition in one meal?
okay, so
Not to say that you really do either one of those. I'm sure it just depends on the kind of day you're having, but what would you say just in your experience?
okay, good question. So what it is that it depends on the individual. And the reason why I say that is that I have worked with some clients before that hate breakfast, right? I said, okay, since you hate breakfast, intermittent fasting would be good for you, specifically for you, because you don't like having breakfast.
Right.
No, I said the catch with it is that you have to be disciplined to shut off when you eat a certain time in the evening so that you can have the fast. And then if you can, again, so it calls, everything is pros and cons, right? So I say, look, you can have breakfast. So one guy said to me, I feel sick. I said, okay, good. This is what we can do. Do intermittent fasting. And what time you want to eat? He says, I want to eat around 12 o'clock. It's okay, good. That means then that you need to make sure that you are fasting for 14 hours before, right? So you can't eat, 14 to 16. So like 8 o'clock will be the last meal you can eat.
Right.
So then after that, no, you would say, okay, green tea, no milk, no sugar, obviously. No, I'm not a fan of the coffee, but you can do it. Black tea, another one that's good that I think is a good hack is mineral water, right? Because it's gotten gas, and I find it works fantastic for me during the day. If I have it, it tricks my mind that it is something sweet, but it's just the gas, right? So you can drink that, and it makes you feel satiated, right? Now, if you are a person that, as I was saying, that don't like to eat breakfast, intermittent fasting is great. At the same time, you still have to look at what you eat, right? So it depends on what your goal is. If you want to maintain, then I would say 40% protein, 30% fat, 30% carbohydrates, and you're good to go. That's good for maintenance. If you are a person then that are intermittent fasting and you want to cut a little bit, I would say, okay, increase your protein, to say 45%, cut the carbs to 25% or even to 20, and have your fat to even 30 to 40%, right?
Mm-hmm.
The other thing then is that you have to work out how many calories per day your body needs to survive. It's called the total daily energy expenditure, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you realize that this is the amount of calories that you need per day to function, to go to work and do this and do that, you just need to be in a slight deficit of that. But the trick is then, because you're eating a little bit less calories, you need to have higher levels of protein and or fat, because those things make you feel more satiated.
Mm-hmm.
If you flip it and you have high levels of carbohydrates, so these would be things like pasta, potatoes, yams, eddos, those starches. Yes, those things, you can eat those things and still lose weight, but the problem is that you're going to feel hungry quickly afterwards. So you're going to want to eat again. So because you've already used up the amount of calories for the carbohydrates, then you go and eat something else, even if it's protein, you add on to that number. So this is why then now you look at the beginning to say, okay, start with high levels of protein, medium levels of fat, and low levels of carbohydrates. And you can come up with some really good meals as well. Because like, for example, there's a great hack. If someone likes burgers and fries, have double burgers with no bun.
Mm-hmm.
Have the fries, but no bread. Right? Mm-hmm. This is what I personally do when I go. And anytime I'm dating a girl and I ask for a lettuce burger, she looks at me like, what's that? I'm like, I just don't eat the bread. I said, because the potatoes are going to be fried, which is terrible oil anyway.
Pushing it, right?
You know what I'm saying? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce that, and I'm going to get 2 or 3 burgers. So then that I don't even eat that much fries anyway. Right? So I load up on the protein. So I'll eat the fries, but just reduce the amount of fries. Right? So that's a great hack. It's not that burgers and fries are bad, but it's because you're overloading your system with the carbohydrates.
With the carbs.
Right. So if someone now doesn't really, they tend to like to eat frequently during the day, having smaller meals would be good for them because they just genuinely like eating. Right? Mm-hmm. So that means now is like for them now, they have something else to look forward to. So then you would have, some people would have maybe 6 smaller meals in a day. Mm-hmm. Now, for me personally, I just don't have that time. So I tend to have on training days, I guess you could call it 4 meals, because I have a small meal, which is like some yogurt and some granola before I train. I have a protein shake after I train, so that's 2. Breakfast, snack, and then dinner. So that's 5 times I would have eaten during the day. On non-training days, it's 3 times, right? Mm-hmm. I have a big breakfast, a snack, and then I have dinner. And then depends on where I am in terms of my cycle for cutting and bulking. I may just have a protein bar and a protein shake. Now I'm going to give people a great hack that works really well. There's a protein called casein protein, micellar casein. Now, I love casein protein because when there are times that I'm going to work long hours, especially like into the night, and I don't want to eat more food, I would take 2 scoops of that because it's slow-acting protein, right? Mm-hmm. And I used to use it when I used to work in England, and I would have back-to-back meetings where I'd not be able to get to eat lunch. And you can stay, you know what I mean, without feeling cravings for up to 6 hours, you know, for 2 scoops. And that would only be, if you drink it with water, from memory, 300 calories for the serving, for the 2 scoops. Because I think each scoop is like 125 to 150 calories or something like that. So if you drink it with water, 2 scoops of that, boom. You can get in high level of protein, you can feel satiated, and you can function, right? Mm-hmm. So it depends on the individual. So not every approach is, this is why when I work with clients, I personalize a meal for them. and how they're going to do stuff. You know what I mean? Even some people want to eat fish. Some people like keto. I've worked with vegans before. Veganism is a lot more difficult, but still possible. So it really depends on what you like, what you want to achieve, and what kind of body type you have. Right?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not one cut size cookie because you have three types of body types. Ectomorph, which is like a person that struggles to put on weight at all. These are people that genuinely don't really like eating, right? And no matter how much they eat, they just put on weight. They have people that are called mesomorph, which are more like me, which put on muscle easily, but if they're not careful on what they eat, they can put on fat just as easily.
Right.
But they tend to build muscle really well. And then you have people that are called endomorphs, which are people that tend to put on weight much easier by eating hardly anything, right?
Yep.
So
I think that's the camp I'm in, dude. I'm pretty sure.
So if you were my client, Sean, what I would do is first and first, I would put you in a caloric deficit. I would jack up your protein, increase your fats, cut your carbs, right?
Yep.
I will put you to do a lot of compound exercises because those would increase your leptin, testosterone, and growth hormone. So you would by default burn a lot of fat. And then it will put you to do a lot of like circuit training and stuff like that. And if you were to follow my guidance, 3 months, you get a good transformation. Anyone that looks on my social media will see that I have a bunch of client transformations. So I have a small idea on this field of expertise.
Oh yeah, for sure, dude. You're definitely a professional, man. And anybody out there that really needs help, give Todd a shout out.
Oh yeah, dude. And I was actually just looking into that casein protein because I had heard of it before, but I didn't know what it was. And I'm looking at it now. It says casein comprises around 80% of the total protein in cow's milk, while whey protein accounts for the remaining 20. So the difference is that that whey protein is the liquid part of the milk, while casein is the curds of the milk. And the reason why casein is better for you is because it turns into like this gelatinous kind of stuff whenever it goes to digest, which makes it way harder for not way harder, but it takes a lot longer for your body to digest it. And so you feel fuller longer. And Correct. They actually say that if you have a cup of that or something like that, right before bedtime, that it's been shown to increase muscle mass just overnight.
Oh,
yes. This is why whenever my clients sign up with me, I give them something called a welcome pack. And one of the things in the welcome pack is that I suggest that not mandatory, but you have casein protein. And I have both types of protein. So whey protein, I take after training because that's when your body's depleted and you want something that absorbs the body fast to put you now. So you get back to where you were. So like casein protein now, for example, when I go to get my hair done, I would drink some casein protein because that's like the girl takes like 2.5 hours to do my dreadlocks. And by the time I come back, then and I start to work, I don't have time much to prepare anything, so I would just drink that. Or if if I go on a road trip and I'm driving for a long period of time, I would have some of that there in my backpack, and I would just mix it with water and wash done. And before bed is good because it is slow absorbing protein, right? So what I'd say to people is that have all both types of protein, and then I would recommend having like protein bars as like in your little man bag or your rucksack when you're out and about, so you can nibble on those. So that allows you then to make sure that you don't really snack. So if you actually have, and I always suggest that my clients buy protein, and the tricks for that is no more than 3, maybe, I don't like to go any higher than 4 for protein bars. 3 grams of protein in your protein bar and 20 to 24 grams of protein, right? If you buy a box and you buy a couple of boxes, it works out to maybe £2, $3 a bar, you know what I mean? Something like that, which is not really a lot of money, right? Because if you're not buying snacks and you're buying the protein bars, it's actually going to realign in terms of expenditure. And then if you buy the protein and you're not buying Doritos, then it means that instead of going getting the Doritos before bed, drink some micellar protein, casein protein, and you know what I mean, you get up and you wouldn't feel you would be able to build muscle because the body absorbs it. Or if you have a long day where you can't get to eat, that casein works fantastic, right?
Dude,
Awesome, man.
You look at like the price of a bag of Doritos nowadays, it's like $6-7 for
I
regular.
know, dude.
Crazy.
But that's what I'm saying, right? Like, dude, I just don't buy snacks anymore. I mean, I do have a couple of snacks, but I screen them a lot in terms of what I think. And one of the things that I really am strict on is MSG. Anything that has an MSG, I just like put it back, right? You know, because
Which
MSG
is funny because Jacob always says, "Oh yeah, that's what I put on everything. It tastes really good." I'm like, MSG is not a good thing for you.
No,
Is that what it's
not.
for? It's just basically to add flavor, right?
Yes.
Oh, it's
okay.
flavor, but then it also like it gives you the illusion that you're full, right?
Well, what it does is that it messes up your hypothalamus, right?
Oh.
Yeah, it puts it out of sync. And this is why, like, because the hypothalamus is responsible for hormone control, right, in the body. So one of the things, have you ever heard of a guy called Kevin Trudeau? So he wrote this book, I think it's called Weight Loss Protocol that they don't want you to know about or something like that. So anyway, long story short, he went to prison for this book. And he was an insider that blew the whistle on the food industry. And he said that basically what all the food does is that it really attacks your hypothalamus and that causes your hormones to go out of whack. So that means then that if your hormones are stressed, what you eat, especially since the food is inorganic as well, it is going to make you put on weight a lot faster. So what I try to do is I try to cut out as much of the seed oils as possible. But again, sometimes you can't, right? So like again, if you go to a restaurant, they ain't frying that, they ain't coconut oil or avocado oil, mate. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying? This is what I'm saying. Like you can be very, very anal and you would never eat anything, or you just reduce it, right? As much as you can, right?
Yep.
But he's saying that if you have as much naturally produced food as possible and as much organic food as possible, you go a long, long way to reducing the amount of stress that's on your hypothalamus, because that is the gland that controls hormone regulation, right? And the hormone regulation is not just how you feel, but it's how your body works in terms of the food absorption, your metabolic system, and everything like that is all connected. So this is why all the chemicals in the food are primarily there to attack the hypothalamus. And then obviously you have the other conspiracies like with the fluoride to deal with the pineal gland, but that's another conversation. But it's all about attacking the main glands in the body, and your hypothalamus is one of them.
Which makes it makes a lot of sense, you know, because when you do lose weight and you are starting to get in shape, the way that you feel is so compounding, you know?
Yes.
Like you would assume that you would feel better because you feel lighter, right? Or maybe you don't have indigestion, but it's so much more than that. I mean, your mind, like you were saying earlier, your mind is clearer, your gut biome, the way that your body regenerates itself, your joints aren't inflamed. It's everything. It's all encompassing. And so no wonder you're able to get more inclined spiritually when your body is operating the way that it is supposed to.
That is an absolute fact. So this is the funny thing, right? So like sometimes people come to get coaching from me, not even necessarily to get into shape, really, you know, because I'm very much strong on the mindset and consciousness and spirituality. So people would come to get my coaching. But here's the thing, by doing that, as they wanted to improve in that area, they just get into shape at the same time, because they go hand in hand. Because what I have realized in my journey is that mindset consciousness slash spirituality and fitness are really the same thing, right? Because they're all things that increase the energetic frequency in the body and the self. So when you are eating good quality food and doing exercise, as you rightly said, Sean, you're increasing the vibration, the energy, and the frequency, which is really the same thing in the body. Now, what happens is when you elevate that frequency to a level, when you combine that with new habits, for example, meditation. Now, in the beginning, it's going to feel like it's not happening. You're going to feel like you can't meditate, X, Y, Z, but that's all part of the process. If people think about it, we didn't learn to speak our mother tongue properly until we were like maybe 5-6 years old. So we were born speaking googly gunk for so long, but we never had any shame of it, and we just, continue to learn it when we get into primary school and stuff. So it's the same thing with meditation. When you first start, you're not going to be very good at it, but you keep at it, you keep at it, you keep at it, and then instead of like maybe 30 seconds that you are like completely in the zone, then over time it'd be 1 minute, then over more time it'd be 2 minutes. My point is that it takes practice, but this is the thing that's happening. All while you are trying to do it and not necessarily getting it doing, you're reinforcing the mindset and belief that you can do it. So what this is doing is that this is creating a positive feedback loop system where it's like you're going to get into better shape because you know, okay, I'm not going to eat those Doritos because those don't really vibrate with me anymore, right? Then when you start doing the physical exercise, you're really lifting the energy of your body in the moment. And then you're releasing other hormones in your body as well, which are really great. And those are a little bit addictive, right? So instead of getting those dopamine from social media, you're getting the oxytocin and all that kind of stuff released from exercise, right? So that there now makes you feel good about yourself. So now what's happening is that you're eating right. So you're raising your vibration internally because of the food. You're doing exercise, which is the external stimulus you're putting into the body. So you're reaffirming that energy that you're putting in from the food. And then when you start doing meditation now and doing other things like affirmations and journaling, that's all tied into the consciousness spirituality part, you're creating that positive feedback loop system. Now, there's the thing. You will still have days where you be challenged and you may slip up and go and eat some Doritos and stuff. But guess what? The world didn't end. You didn't put on a bunch of weight just for one set of Doritos. Forgive yourself, move on, and go again, right?
That's it.
Because no one has success by getting success every single day. They had a bunch of failures and some wins, but the wins were just bigger than the failures. So what happened is that their trajectory is going up. Because just look at the Dow Jones, look at the stock market. It's had many, many pullbacks, but it's still on the trajectory. Now that's going to crash eventually, but that's another conversation. But for this analogy here in this story, and I'm trying to explain, all the corrections it had bigger levels up all the time. That is how your life is. As long as your trajectory is going up, you're doing the right things, hanging with the right people. And I'll be honest with you, right? This is an area that a lot of people overlook, right? When you're on, whether it's a spiritual journey or a fitness journey or a self-improvement journey, right? Because in reality, they all lead back to spirituality, consciousness, and fitness anyway. The people you have in your circle, the people you surround yourself with, and most, if not all of my clients, they tell me the same thing. One of the reasons, Todd, why I really wanted to train with you is because I don't have any other person to talk to about these things that you talk about on the podcast. Because if you want to get into shape, not that you can't do it on your own, obviously, but one, you have no accountability and there's no one there that you can actually share that experience with. So a lot of people give up And a lot of people self-sabotage and going back doing the same things, hanging with the same people because they're accustomed to their comfort zone, right? And you get addicted to that feeling. So the actual drug that people consume is the drug of self-sabotage, of that feeling of feeling down. Because what happens is that you get so accustomed to that even though you know you shouldn't do it and it's not good for you, you do it anyway because it's like this masochistic thing that is going on in your head at the same time, where it's like, I feel good because I think I'm a loser, but I know that I'm not a loser and I can do better. But you know what I mean? I'm addicted to that feeling. So I just go with that because that's like Sean,
familiar.
like Jonathan was saying, because that's what makes me feel comfortable. But listen to this, guys. Comfort zones are the places where dreams and goals go to die. Yeah. So you can choose to have pain and level up, or you can choose to have pain and stay in your comfort zone, because you're not going to get any positive result by staying in your comfort zone. So I tell people, choose your pain. Choose the pain and know that you're going forward, or choose the pain of staying in your comfort zone where you have a 100% failure rate, right?
Right.
So the journey to level up can be a long, arduous journey, but with the right coaching, the right guidance and help, you can achieve what you want to achieve. Now, some people can do that journey on their own, but most people that have made it in their life have spent their money on coaches, mentors, teachers, yogis, gurus, whatever word you want to use, they've invested in themselves to get there. So I ask this question to people: why do you think that you can do this on your own when even the best basketball in the world, Michael Jordan, had to have a coach to help him to become the number one player in the world? If Mike had to have a coach, why do you think that you don't need a coach? Right. And most people can't answer that question.
And that's how you, like you were saying before, as far as jumping off that cliff,
Correct.
I mean, you think that you could do it yourself or whatever, but you ultimately have to let go and jump off that cliff and invest, in yourself, because we're already investing in everybody else, all the big businesses and things like that, with our time and attention and our money. And so why not put that money, time, and attention into yourself, ultimately making yourself a better person for everyone around you, that circle you speak of, and that's why we have you in our circle, dude.
Yeah, man.
I really appreciate you.
This is why I like to come on to your show as well, because your audience is very receptive to this sort of information, because this is what I have realized. Your biggest investments should go into yourself, your self-development, because money spent on your development is not money wasted. It is money well spent,
right?
Because you're going to improve in X area or Y area or Z area.
Right.
You can take that same money and go down to the bookies if you want to and spunk it and get lucky. But even if you were to make it big at the bookies, because it came easy, you spend all that money very, very easy. Look at how many people have won big money in the lottery, and in 5 years they were broke. Right? Loads of people. So if you invest in yourself and you take the journey and go step by step, bit by bit, and you have someone there as a mentor, a coach, an accountability buddy, somebody that can, be there when you have those down periods, you'll have a lot better success. Because in today's world now, no one has time to even spend time to read a book, furthermore research how to improve themselves. So why not just go to someone that is an expert and get them to help you and let them keep you accountable? Because, dude, what I see coming in the future is really, we're in a very precarious situation right now, because in 6 months' time, you're going to have the first Android robots, really. I guess they are the only word to use it. Robots that are going to look completely human, that are going to be powered by AI, that you're going to be able to have sex with, right? And that is going to be devastating for humanity, right? And then what's going to happen is that this AI is going to end up becoming people's gods. And people are going to start to worship the AI. And the long-term goal is for people to upload the consciousness to the AI. Now, if you don't have any discipline, you don't have any self-confidence, you don't have any belief, you've not gone through the journey of getting into shape, improving your mindset, working your spirituality, it's only obvious you're going to take the chip and put it in your brain and upload to the consciousness because you want to feel comfortable, because you want to have cyber sex with your virtual AI, right?
Fembots, dude.
Bots.
In 6 months' time, I think they're going to cost like $6,000 or something like that. And I was watching the video and then making them up in China. The man said that they have the perfect plastic polymer now that feels just like real skin. And I was like, gosh damn. And this is the thing, listen to this. In China, they have something called artificial wombs, right?
Shit.
Yes. So if you have a humanoid android that is powered by AI that you can have sex with, then all that happens is that if you put an artificial womb inside of the android, then you can procreate with the android. Dude, this is getting really, really sick, you know? This is getting really, really strange. So if people have not worked on themselves to get into the best shape mentally, physically, and spiritually, when these things come on the market and blow your mind, because what they're going to do, they're going to lower you to a point where you feel destitute, you feel how there's no way out, you're going to feel that you're nothing, you're a piece of crap, you don't deserve to live, no one loves you, you're a fat piece of slob, X, Y, Z, all of these things, the system is going to put you down to feel so bad. And then look what you can do. You can have this robot that you can make her look exactly how you want her. You want her to have a BBL? We can do that for you. You want big tits? Check. You want lips that are big, 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 like she had freaking Botox? We can do that too. You can design her exactly how you want. And they have the reproductive part, obviously, is silicone and stuff, but the guy is saying that it feels real. So we're going to have people now that are going to be having sex with robots, mate.
Wow. I was just going to ask you too, before you even went into all of that, like, where's the demand coming from? Who needs this? You know?
Very good question.
I don't think you're going to make a baby and then leave, because now you got Terminator that's going to come and find you.
Dude,
you know what I mean?
This is the whole reason for the pornography, OnlyFans, and social media. This is what it's for. Dude, I saw a staggering stat. 80% of men in the United States are on OnlyFans at some point in their life.
Oh my God.
It is insane. Now listen to this stat. I think it is between the ages of 18 and 25, because there are 160 million females, and I think there are 20 million 18 to 25 females. And I think that, is it 25% or 20% of girls between that age range are OnlyFans?
Oh.
Dude, that is insane. I think it works out to 10 million or something stupid like that. Wow. So what we're having now is our society being broken down. So that men now, who are the leaders, the ones that are the ones that form the society, that are being pushed down to a level where they're going to have no self-confidence, zero testosterone, no sort of like will to live. So when you come and say, look, so this is why they've got this whole OnlyFans and social media stuff. So what's going to happen now is that AI is going to put all of those women out of work. So the next, I would say 3 years, all these girls on OnlyFans that are big are going to lose their jobs, because you're going to get a guy that's going to create an AI version of her that is going to be able to pump out content every minute of the day and talk to multiple guys. And the simps in there are just going to be freaking spanking the bishop and giving away their money, right?
Right.
I'm actually looking at it right now.
God,
there's a website. I just typed it. I'm not going to share the screen because it is graphic. But it's called realdoll.com. And dude, these dolls look so real. It is crazy.
Dude, I told you.
And I was checking it out, and it says that that coming soon you will be able to sync it with your AI. And it's
6 months.
Yeah, it says transcendence is near. Experience the next era of intimacy.
Oh my
Good.
God, dude.
So good. Now, this is why I am making the appeal and the shout, sounding the alarm to men and also to women as well. Start focusing on working on yourself. Self-development is the only thing that's going to get you out of the mess we're in as a species. Because what is happening is that it is not just affecting men. Because think about it, right? Let me break down the real what's going on here now. So the vast majority of women that are in the workforce do entry-level jobs, right? AI is going to eat those entry-level jobs for breakfast. So we're going to have a situation in the next 3 to 5 years where 80% of the women are going to be out of a job, right? Now, the OnlyFans phenomenon, those content creators are going to get their breakfast eaten in the next 3 to 5 years because you can actually create AI versions of those women that will be able to have multiple conversations with thousands and thousands of men simultaneously and creating content just by prompts by a man. I know this because I have spoken to someone who is actually an AI manager for a model where they created an AI version of her. So she doesn't shoot any more content. The AI is all her, but it's not her. She doesn't physically shoot the content, but the AI produces the content using her likeness and image and stuff. So there was just like original videos and the AI just mass produces it and stuff like that. So basically, So basically now, all of these girls now that are selling their butthole for $3.99 are going to get taken out by a man who is programming the AI that will make money. So these girls are not going to be able to compete no matter how hard they try because they simply will not be able to produce the content, right? So what's going to happen is that even the sex industry is going to get eaten for breakfast because the AI is going to do it. So what's going to happen then is that the men now are being broken because men are physical creatures and sex, money, and food are the things that control most men most of the time very easily. You know what I mean? Like, that's just how it is, right? We're visual and we're basic. We are easily programmable by those three things. So if now you already have men that are on the couch and not doing much and just on their phone or their computer or OnlyFans, spanking the bishop and spending their money, when you come and give them the opportunity to have an actual girlfriend now that they can link their AI to, they're going to take it because look at what's happening in the modern dating scene right now. Because of feminism, women have become girl bosses and women are making their own money, which is not a bad thing. But the problem is that women have become more masculine in nature. So what's happening is that, and their standards have gone up because they make more money because women are hypergamous by nature. So what that means is that most average men that will be making decent wage, and I would say a decent wage is 80,000, right? US dollars, 80,000 pounds in the United Kingdom, right? Girls now are making that and more. But a girl doesn't want you if you're making 80 grand. You need to be making 100 or more. So you, by default now, because women are making more money, they're pushing out average men out of the dating scene and their demands are becoming exceedingly high. Now, what's happening then is that the top level guys, the 10% of guys that are making six figures and more, are shagging 80 to 90% of all the women on the planet, right? So this is why those average guys are turning to OnlyFans, hookers, and all that kind of stuff because they just can't get laid, right? Now, what that does now is that when you get the men trapped in that system now, right? So the men are broken, the AI comes in, takes the freaking entry level jobs for the women. They can't even do OnlyFans now because that's controlled by AI. What you're going to have is two groups of people, both men and women, that are broken, can't see any option out. Then what's going to happen is when they crash the system, bring in the CBDCs, they're going to say, oh, by the way, if you want to come into our new system, got to take that chip. And listen, guys, it's going to be euphoria. It's going to be good. Don't worry. You can have all the sex you want. Spank the bishop as much as you like. You're going to eat as much as you want. Don't worry. But you say anything bad against the system, they're going to cut your credit and you're going to have to eat bugs, right? This is why I'm saying that the biggest act of revolution against the system is to work on yourself mentally, physically, and spiritually. And I happen to be one of those people that can help you in that process. There are other people that can do it, but those that are listening and are realizing the picture I'm painting. And I'm not saying this to scare people. I'm predicting what's going to happen because I'm reading the tea leaves and I've been calling this stuff since 2021. And it is getting close. Because I know, Sean, you were shocked when I was telling you that.
Yeah, dude.
What I was telling you.
That's
And
when
you
I
just
thought the world
confirmed.
couldn't get any weirder.
You just confirmed what I'm saying. So what's going to happen now is that men are going to start buying these dolls simply because they don't want the hassle with women. So what that's going to do is that's going to further bifurcate the society. So men not even going to chase girls. So if men's nature is to chase girls and men are not chasing girls, that means then girls now are not going to reproduce because men are not having sex with humans. Men are having sex with android robots.
That's actually already happening over in Asia.
Yes.
Wow.
So we are in for some scary times. So this is why I'm telling people work on yourself mentally, physically, and spiritually, because that journey, that process, right, is going to give you the belief, the mindset, and the physical strength to put down your foot and say no, because that internal journey you have to do to improve yourself is the same courage and belief in yourself. You're going to have to stand up against the system. So like right now in the UK, in the council, in the borough of Epping, they're going to stop paying their council tax and their TV license because of all the migrants they're bringing in, right? Now, things are happening really in the world. Like in Brisbane, they were, Sydney, from what I remember, they were protesting against stuff. In Portugal, Spain, stuff around the world. Like the United States is always a little bit behind Europe. Europe is in a really bad place right now, right? And if people want to see your almost certain future, look to Europe, right? But the thing is that we have too many weak men. So it is not the women's job to stand up and protect. It is our job as the men. But if we are walking away from our responsibility and the women are trying, but it's not in their default nature to do it, right? We can't expect the women to do the job of a man. We are the ones that are supposed to protect the family, protect the society, protect the children. And we're here freaking spanking our bishop or freaking watching OnlyFans. You know what I'm saying?
Right, right.
So what we need to do is we need to take the long, hard journey of self-improvement, which will give results, just not immediate. And there's still time for us to work on ourselves, because 2026 is going to be mad. Now, on the economic side, I can see probably like next month we might get some, October to get some sparks, because I think that they need to, shake the system a little bit to scare people a bit, because whenever people start to get out of line, they do some sort of event to put us back in our box. But ultimately, they're going to crash the system because they're going to want to bring in the CBDC. They're going to want to bring the social credit score. and they want to bring in the track, trace, and database system, which is already here because of Palantir, because the United Kingdom has contracts with Palantir that they're not disclosing what it's really for. And even one of the guys in, I don't think it was Peter Thiel. I think it was the other guy that he said that basically they are the ones that stopped the right wing extremism in Europe. That's just code word for the track, trace, and database system that they have in place, like Germany, where if you even say, oh, that the politician is fat, you're literally getting put in jail. Like, dude, in the United Kingdom, you put stuff on Facebook or on Twitter that offends the system or offends someone, they go against the narrative. They knock on your door and they freaking arrest you. You know, they come for you in the UK for mean tweets, right?
Wow.
So, oh yeah, y'all in the United States, y'all don't really understand how savage it is over there, right? So my point is that if we want to protect the system, we men, we need to step up. And when we step up, the women will follow. It's our job. And strong men create good times. Good times create weak men. Weak men create hard times. Hard times create strong men. And we are now in that part where the hard times create strong men. So this is where we can bring in a golden age. But the difference is now is that instead of it going back to this complete circle, we're mixing things like consciousness and spirituality to bring the balance, which is where the feminine energy comes in to be important, because the feminine energy brings the balance into the masculine. Because the one of the things that a lot of people don't really realize is that when you look at the original Genesis story, they created man, and not man and woman, because the woman was in the man, because the consciousness, which is feminine, was inside the man. When you read the book of Jasher, this is also confirmed. And Adam told his son Seth that your mother Eve is who taught me consciousness. She's the one who told me that the God in the Garden of Eden wasn't the creator of all things. That is why the book of Joshua was taken out of the Bible, because it blatantly said that the God of the Bible, of the Old Testament, was not God. He was a fraud, right?
Demiurge.
I can believe
Correct.
that.
Right. And he said, your mother Eve taught me consciousness. She gave me consciousness. Eve was the representation of Sophia. Sophia is the Pistis Sophia, means faith and wisdom, right? And she is the one, and the feminine energy is the one that keeps the masculine balanced. The problem is that the feminine energy needs to be protected, but the men and the masculine energy is not doing its job to protect the feminine energy. So they teach us how to feel, how to love, how to tap into that part of us. And we're the ones that provide the brute strength, do the heavy lifting, do the building and the constructing, right? Both parts are very important, because you can have all the softness in the world and you don't have any protection. Well, your house is going to freaking get destroyed, you know? And if you have all the brute force in the world, but you don't have a bit of heart and compassion, what you're going to have is self-destruction, because you would even sell out your own mother for a buck, right? Because you've got no sort of compassion and kindness. So what we actually have in the world is pitting both energies against each other, when in reality, they go like this, right? This is why you have a right foot and a left foot. You have two hands. You can't have a one-handed clap, right? You have to have two hands to clap. But what we're doing is that we're looking at each other and saying, nope, I ain't clapping you. I could do it on my own. And neither can do it on their own. We need both to come together instead of arguing and fighting. So women have to have a little bit more sort of like realistic sort of like expectations of men, and men need to do their jobs and start leaving the women pregnant and bringing up children on their own, right? But instead of blaming each other, we need to actually forgive each other, do the work on ourselves to heal our fears and traumas, start to work on ourselves mentally, spiritually, and physically. And then we can actually start to bridge the gap and realize that we have a system that is controlled by not so benevolent beings that want to freaking enslave us and get us to upload our consciousness to the AI. And I'm telling you what, when humanity does it, because it's going to happen and a lot of people are going to do it, they're going to be slaves forever. There's going to be no coming back. Once you've uploaded your consciousness to the AI, that's it. You've trapped yourself into the literal Matrix movie. Mm-hmm. You will be plugged into the Matrix forever and ever and ever. And that's it. Unless you break out the Matrix and you become the Neo. This is where the story of Christ, which is really the Neo, has the allegory where you're like the black sheep. You're the one. Like you call your guys the one. Well, everybody needs to be the one. Yep. The one that goes inside of here. And this is one of the reasons why, like, I have the logo on my shirt here. So that's one of these shirts I have in my merch store, and is the Caduceus, and even like my logo for my Conscious Man 7 podcast. And it's really the staff of Hermes, but which is really showing you the illumination, how to illuminate. Because what we have is a dualistic system, and it comes from the tree of good and evil. So the tree of good and evil means that sometimes on one side of the tree is good, on the next side is bad, next side is good, next side is bad, because it's two twisted serpents. So good over here, bad over there, good over there, bad over there, right? And the path for illumination and enlightenment is through the middle, which is why Yeshua said that the path is narrow and few find it. This is why Buddha said you take the middle way. Middle path, right? The middle path. Yeah, dude. So that is through, in the Kedusha, is through. And when you go through the middle, what you come to the top, which is the crown chakra. When you connect the crown chakra to source, you get your wings. And your wings just is a symbolization of you illuminating so you can fly, so you can lift off. You have total liberation from the system. But in order for us to get there, we need to go through the middle, which is overcoming fears and traumas, forgiving ourselves, forgiving others, getting ourselves into shape mentally, physically, and spiritually. There's a lot of things that we have to do. We got to start reading books. We got to start learning about the system. What do we actually live in, right? We need to start pulling our children out of the education system, because children come out of the university and the school system as freaking automatons and robots. They're not taught how to think. They're taught and told what to think. You've got all these youngsters coming out with gender studies and like some freaking how climate change affects gender, and like, I mean, I'm making up, but they're extreme freaking types of degrees like that, which make absolutely no sense, right? So we got to start realizing that the system is attacking us from all areas. And all we're doing is freaking watching Netflix, watching OnlyFans, spanking the bishop and the girls on OnlyFans. We can't get out of this mess doing that stuff. You know what I'm saying?
That's a bishop spanking in this episode.
I was watching quite a bit of Netflix as well, you know?
Yeah, dude. I mean, Todd, you sounded more like the Prophet Man 7, if you will, sir. But this is... I hope that the one out there got a little something from this, because I think that you are spot on as far as, looking out for your mental, your spiritual, and your physical. You can't just do one. You can't just do two. It has to be all the way. And if you look all throughout spirituality and divinity and all that kind of stuff, it is always a 3-tier system. It's always a triangle. It's always a cross. It's always, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. It's mind, body, soul. It's always been that way. You have to be able to connect all 3 of them. And I like the way that you put it. You were kind of like showing where the future is really leading to, where it's already currently, but where it's definitely leading to. And all the more reason why you should be working on those 3 things, because if you are working on all those 3 things, then the wool is not going to be pulled over your eyes. You're going to be able to see it for what it is, and you're not going to be so much worried about convenience because you're already putting in the hard work that all 3 of those things require. Now, it doesn't necessarily take a whole lot of hard work for the spiritual aspect. It just really takes your time and your effort and your patience. So if you think about it, if you set aside 10, 15 minutes a day to meditate every single day, whether you do it in the morning, the evening, at night, whatever, if you set that apart, dude, it literally changes the rest of your day. Like, you want to talk about becoming aware at every single decision, every single thought, every single little habitual thing that you do. That meditation, it helps you drastically to be able to have that awareness, to be able to pay attention to all the little things that you do. Obviously, working out, that takes a little bit of time, maybe an hour, hour and a half, depending on who you are and what kind of workout you're doing. The eating part, I would actually suggest that is probably the hardest one, because there's so much bullshit out there in the grocery store and all the fast food restaurants and all that other stuff. And you got to be cognizant. You got to be aware of the ingredients that are in these foods. You were talking about how, you have the bioengineered or the GMO kind of stuff. It's not necessarily natural. Watermelon's supposed to have seeds in it. So are grapes, and a lot of things are supposed to have seeds in it, but they have rewired it in such a way. All I'm saying is that we need to become conscious of these things. And maybe you'll get like Todd and become the conscious man or woman.
I can only hope, man. I can only hope. Yes. I mean, it's that, or, you start working on your credit score so you can get a nice APR on your new van bot. You know what I mean? Yeah. Those are your options.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
I am going to give the 5 things that they can, if they choose to do, repeat every single night before they go to bed, that if they're consistent with, will give major changes in their mindset, their belief system, and also the courage to make a change in your life. So I'm going to read 5 things that, so for anyone listening, you want to screen record it or the voice or whatever, I'll give you a couple of seconds to get to that button, or you can just pause it. But this is what you can do, and this is what I do. This is part of my new night routine that I've been doing. And since I've been doing it, I have seen major shifts in terms of my mindset, which was always good, but obviously you have ups and downs, but to take it to another level, this is one of the things I've been doing. So it goes, universe, search me and reveal what's blocking my growth. Expose the thoughts, habits, and energies that no longer serve me and guide me to let them go. 2, universe, show me my soul's true path. Even if it's uncomfortable, align me with what's meant for me, not what I think I want. 3, universe, show me what secretly controls my mind. Bring to light my deepest fears and help me face them with power, not avoidance. 4, universe, if a relationship is not aligned with my expansion, remove it quickly and peacefully. I trust you to protect my energy. 5, universe, prune me. Cut off every dead branch, every cycle, habit, or attachment that dims my light. Remove it even if it hurts. I am ready to evolve.
That's beautiful, dude. That's
Yeah.
great. And, that's what it is, man. Working with your subconscious mind, or getting in there and having that conversation with your shadow, you know what I mean? And really trying to merge the two extremes, and becoming just a better person, man. It's a beautiful thing.
Dude, I can tell you something. Every single night, I have had vivid dreams every time I repeat that before bed. Every night. It is crazy.
You turn it into a mantra.
I do. So this is one of the things that I do every night now. So I've changed my night routine because now things have gotten much busier for me. Now having doing 2 podcasts a week and having so many clients, I realized that I needed to level up my mindset to another level so that I can handle more pressure, right? And what I've seen is that there are things, small little things that I didn't notice before that were sort of like sucking energy in terms of putting time and attention to, right? So the thing is not what I'm realizing is that they're not necessarily huge things you always have to change in your life. Now, obviously, when you first start the journey of self-development, everything seems huge because you're gonna go from eating Cheetos to freaking eating chicken breasts. You know what I mean? You're gonna go from eating fried chicken to eating possibly steak. You know what I mean? So the changes are going to be big, like in the beginning. But as you continue the path, you realize that it is small little tweaks that you need to make, right? That when you make them, give you great gains and better results, right?
Yep.
And that is one of the things that I have started to do now. And dude, the dreams are like, and I get up in the morning and I am like ready. I am high on life, right?
Right.
Like I knew that, okay, I speaking to Jonathan and Shaughnessy, like, God, I was like, great, boom. So when you texted me today, asked me, are we still on? I was like, absolutely. You know what I'm saying? That was
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So all of these are the little things that, you know, I teach my clients and I teach people as well that they need to implement in their life because sadly, we have been fooled by religion and the 3 main religions have us trapped. And we have to pull back bit by bit by bit by bit by bit. And the path is scary. It is unknown. But this is the thing. The path of enlightenment is unknown. And that's the whole beauty about it. You don't know where you're going to end up. But what's happened is that we are too fixated on how we're going to get there instead of being focused on the journey itself, where you want to get to. So I was coaching someone this weekend, and I was telling him that what tends to happen is that we give the universe mixed signals on what we really want. So you would come and say, oh, well, I want this and I want that. But your actions are not in alignment with the thing that you want to achieve. So what's happening is that because the universe is energetic, the universe is saying, well, Todd, I don't know what you want. You see you want this, but you're doing another thing. So I can just give you neither because I don't know what you want. And it's almost like, have you ever had like a mate who was like, yeah, dude, let's go this evening. All right, cool. So we want to eat. I don't know. So let's go for Italian. I don't feel like eating Italian. Let's go for Indian. All right, we want to eat it. I don't really feel like eating curry. Let's go get some burgers and fries. Okay, let's go to steakhouse. Man, this, that's, third. Have you ever had even a girl or a mate that just couldn't decide? How does that make you feel? Like frustrated, no? You in that position being frustrated is the universe. The universe is like, dude, what do you want? You telling me verbally you want to achieve this, but you're doing actions to attract more of this. So I'm giving you both some of this and some of that, but then sometimes I give you nothing because I don't know what you want.
Yep.
So you have to be very clear, specific, and you have to be consistent in what you're telling the universe through your energetic frequency, through your actions, that this is what you want. And I interviewed this guy on my podcast, guy called Scott Hogg. He had a very, very interesting distinction, which I'm going to nick from him. He said, when you tell the universe that you are going to achieve these things, he says those things become a spiritual truth, but a physical lie in this realm. He says that if you maintain focused on the spiritual truth, so you're in your mind, this thing is already done, right? You can taste it, see it, smell it, and it is there. but it may be a physical lie in the present. He says the physical lie always becomes the spiritual truth over time once you maintain the image of the thing that you are trying to achieve, and in your frequency, it is done. So I say things like, I know that I am going to do this. I know that it is done. I know that I am doing it, and that kind of stuff where it reaffirms it.
Mm-hmm.
The physical realm, yes, is a lie, but time always has to collapse from that higher level into the third dimension. So what happens that we focus on the how. The how is like the third dimension, is like the logistics of getting it done. The logistics are the job of the universe. You give that job to the universe and you focus only on your destination.
Mm-hmm.
Because your destination, you can go left and right to come back in the middle. But if you are focused on doing the left and the right, you can get so sidetracked that all you're going to do is left and right, and you may just keep going left and right.
Mm-hmm.
But if you let the universe do its thing, you may be going left, up, right across, then back in the center or forward. You understand my point? Because you're focused on the end. That is the secret. Don't focus on the how it's going to get done. Focus on the thing.
Mm-hmm. Give
that to the universe to do, and maintain your frequency, your focus, and your energy on that thing. And like how you were talking about sex magic, Joe Dispenza calls it having a high level elevation and an intention, right? Mm-hmm. So this is like the masculine and the feminine. So the elevated emotion is the feeling. So that is like the feminine part of it. The intention is the direction. That is the doing. That is the masculine. So it's like an X and Y, which comes back into create a triangle, right? So focus on the end and just let the universe take care of the rest. You do that, my friends, and you will get there, because time is irrelevant. The journey is the most important thing. And you stay focused on that, and you'll eventually get there, because you will force the system, the universe, to give you what you're telling it that you deserve, because you've put in enough time, putting in the energy that is like, okay, well, yeah, Todd is very serious about this thing now. So it's without a shadow of a doubt, yep, that thing is confirmed. And that's how it works.
Beautifully put, man.
Todd Cave, dude, what a stud. Love every time you come over here, good man. You are always dropping spiritual bars up in here.
Straight bars.
Yeah, dude. Could you let the one know where they can find you and all your good work, sir?
Yes, sir. So I also have a podcast, and it is called the Conscious Man 7 podcast, available on every platform you can think of. So I also have some really good conversations and some really, really good guests. So if you would like to also have conversations, like to hear conversations like this, where I am on the other side of the mic asking questions, just look at me on any platform, Spotify, Amazon, Deezer, whatever, the Conscious Man 7 podcast. And if you also, a lot of stuff that I spoke about today resonated with you, and you would like to prepare for what is coming to get yourself in shape mentally, spiritually, hit me up on my Instagram at Adriano_246, or my name, Todd Cave. And let's see if you're a good fit to join the Compound Body Training Army. And yeah, I will help you I'm going to teach you how to train, how to eat, how to work on your mindset, how to rewire your belief system, and all that kind of stuff. And if you are on a spiritual journey and you would like some help removing some fears and traumas, I can help you to get some magic mushrooms. So also, again, hit me up on my socials at Adriano_246, or my name, Todd Cave, and I will help you to get some magic mushrooms, because those are one of the modalities that you can use in order to connect to your higher self and to learn things that about yourself that you weren't able to see before. And if you none of those things resonate with you, and but you like the work I do, you want to support me, you can hit up my Amazon store. I've got a merch store. It's called Todd and Me. We've got some cool tank tops, hoodies, shirts, and sweats. And if you visit my social media, you'll see the link tree there for it. And I've got on one of those shirts today.
Gotta get one of those, dude. That looks so awesome.
Yeah, that one is called Truth Isn't Learned, Truth is Realized. And yeah, so we have some cool merch there, and that helps us with the podcast as well, and doing research to find some good guests on. And yeah, guys, I really love talking to you guys. Like, and I've said this before, and for some of the new listeners, I just want to say that Sean and Jonathan are the two guys that pushed me over the line to start to do the podcast. So I will always have lots of time for them because I was toying with the idea. And when I came on the first time, they were like, dude, you got to start your own show. And I went away and thought about it. I said, okay, we're going to do it. And we ran with it. And it's turned out well because your guy, the doodle guy, is who created my logo. And I'll be honest with you, that logo is absolute fire, right? Like,
Shout out to Doodle and Dork.
Doodling Dork, yeah, man. So shout out to you, Doodling Dork, because every single person that sees the logo says it's straight fire. So, I just want to tell you, thank you publicly for that, which again came as a result of you guys, because I came on the show. I asked you who did your logo. You all told me him, and that was it. And the podcast was born. So
that's it, dude. That logo AI can't do. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure of that. I mean, maybe it could, but it definitely wouldn't have been that one.
It's got the human touch to it.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, definitely.
But so hit up your boy Todd Cave, because as you know now, he's very knowledgeable. He can maybe help you out. But if you guys are ready, I've got a tarot card.
Let's go.
If that's okay.
Yeah, man.
So we pulled, which makes perfect sense to me anyway. We got the Magician.
I was just wearing the Magician shirt earlier today.
Were you?
Yeah.
I think it's pretty spot on.
The Magician, one of my favorite cards in the whole deck.
Yes, dude.
The Magician has the power of the four elements, earth, air, fire, and water, combined with their connection to the divine. They are able to create unlimited abundance in the physical realm. Now that the Fool has taken the leap into the unknown, he meets the Magician and learns that the power of the universe is within him to create his own reality. A robed figure stands with a wand in one hand pointed toward the sky and the other hand pointed at the ground. The infinity symbol and body posture represent the Magician's connection between the spiritual and physical realms. On the table are items representing the four elements: a wand for fire, a pentacle for earth, a sword for air, and a cup for water. These were the contents of the Fool's bindle. By drawing upon the powers of the elements and the help of the divine, the Magician serves as a conduit with the power to give form to the formless by transforming intentions into actions to achieve physical results. The flowers and vegetation symbolize his connection to nature and signify that purity and passion are both essential to the creation process. With divine assistance, all things are possible.
There it is, man. Todd was just talking about, that spiritual aspect of it and bringing it down to the physical. And also I'd like to mention Optimistic Bank. So there was a thing that he had said before where, your reality is kind of like a mirror and it reflects everything that's going on inside of here. But it takes a while for the mirror to catch up, for the reflection to start to change based on what your thoughts are and kind of what you're putting out. So perfect, man. Beautiful.
The inner world is a projector to the outer world.
That's it.
And there's just a little lag. That's all.
That's it.
We're working with an ancient Mac. We haven't caught all the way up to the brand new Mac yet.
Yeah, dude. Just be consistent. Continue to put that time and energy into it, and it'll eventually reveal itself.
Your mind is like 3G. You know what I'm saying? You're still operating on the old towers. It takes a little minute for it to be able to manifest, but it does.
Though. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's literally, it's mad. Like every time I come on the show and we do these cards, it's either something I've said or something that's related to me that I do with the cards. And literally that card synopsized pretty much everything that I said
ton.
in this entire podcast, you know?
It happens every time, dude.
It's magic. That's what we're dealing with
Yeah.
over here, dude.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's
man.
all. Yeah,
Ain't no coincidences up in here.
No,
All
dude.
synchronicities. The spiritual message says you are coming into your power by working with nature and spirit. Drawing this card signifies deepening your spiritual practice and co-creating your reality with the universe.
Boom.
Fire.
Beautiful.
Bro,
Beautiful.
Todd, it was awesome, brother, hanging out with you again. We shouldn't wait 5 or 6 months, however long, until we get you on the next time. But it was a pleasure talking with you, and can't wait to do it again. We're gonna have all of those links, the link tree actually down in the show notes for anybody who wants to be able to get reach out to Todd and follow him in any kind of way. Very, very knowledgeable individual. All across the board, just very well rounded. So we love having you in our corner. So other than that, yeah, Todd, it was awesome, brother. We can't wait to do it again. And we appreciate your time, good sir.
Yes, thank you for having me. And yes, I'll try my best to not make it another 5 months. And
Definitely not
what?
preferable.
Yeah, man, we can try to do it like every 3 months or something like that, once a quarter, I think
Sounds good.
That's decent, man, to be able to share a lot of stuff, because stuff changes so quickly, right? So,
it does.
For
sure, dude.
And I try to stay abreast, So thanks again for having me on, man.
Thank you, man.
Of course. If Todd Cave came here and he taught you anything, it's that you don't know what you don't know. So don't just get weird.
Stay weird.